We have Mr. Javier Hinojo joining us here on today on Investor Party. And of course, he's got his little baby. Are we going to introduce us, Javier? Who is this?
This is Cash Out Refi. Yes, that is her name. She knows it. Or Cashy for short. But her name is Cash Out Refi.
That's brilliant. Of course you would name your baby Cash Out Refi. That makes total sense to me. It really does.
And you see my shirt?
Cash Flow AF.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool.
There you go.
So anyway, guys, we have Javier here today. He's going to be teaching us a little bit more. Well, I want him to come on and talk about your mental fortitude and how to stay strong, especially when you're trying to convert from residential to commercial and when you should do that. But it all comes from actually doing something and taking action and moving forward. Javier has an incredible story. For those of you who have not met him, his story is one of my favorites from all the Hall of Famers that we've had. And he just busts his ass to get things done. So Javier, how many properties when you were doing residential, how many properties did you start off doing? What did you get to? And then how much profit was roughly in each market?
Hey, so I'd like to tell everybody that I'm 24, but I look like I'm 41 because I used to flip houses. So,
oh, sweet Jesus.
Nothing wrong with that. It just took a lot of work, a lot of brain damage. But on my peak, on the peak, I flipped, I wholesaled 88 properties and I flipped, fix and flip 53.
In the first year?
No, not the first year. I'm saying at the peak in 12 months.
Okay. 88 properties wholesale. So you did that by setting your systems because you have quite an extensive buyers list, correct?
Yes.
How did you go about building your buyers list?
Oh, that's a good one. All right, guys.
Ninja secrets.
Oh, yes. Super easy. Really, really easy. So what I did in North Carolina was if you don't have access to the MLS, just become somebody's assistant or buy somebody drinks, you know, whatever you got to do. And get access to the MLS. And then what I did was I searched all the cash transactions, all the cash real estate agents that had a client that bought cash. So I was able to get, a few hundred, and I scraped their emails, and every time I had a project, I emailed it to them, and most of them would buy it, and they pay more.
Because it's retail.
Yeah, because I call them retail investors, right? They buy off the MLS.
Mm-hmm. Now
that was that was super easy hack.
Yeah, you've got some crazy hacks, which I love. Like, and one of my favorite ones he does is like, it's shooting deals in a barrel, really, about using expired listings and expired wholesale transactions that did not close. That's a really great trick, which we're going to be learning on in Real Estate Survivor Quarantine Edition. That's actually coming up here soon. But I thought it was fantastic. So, Javier, what are some of the other things that you like to tell people? Well, actually, let's back up. Right now, we are in the middle of a global pandemic, which obviously we all know, but when we're watching this 10 years from now, I want to make sure we know where we are. And we've had to pivot our business drastically. Learning how to do things virtually has been the backbone of what we are trying to do here, but taking action, even from your home, to change your life is really what we're trying to do. Now when I worked with Javier as one of his acquisition managers for a short period of time, and I learned his systems, and he was buying properties all around the country. So he had to take his entire company virtual. What was that like, Javier, when you started moving out of your market and you started doing deals around the country and you were doing different asset class? How did you find, why did you do that? How did you find that inspiration?
Well, first of all, you got to have a good environment, right? A good work environment, so everybody can work from home. And you got to make sure you have your matrix, your KPIs. Everybody's in charge of something, and that's priority number one. Make sure everybody's hitting their numbers. As long as you have the right folks on your team and everybody's hitting their numbers, doesn't matter where you work from, right? If you want to work in Cancun, Mexico, great. You want to work in China, great. It doesn't really matter, right? As long as you're producing. The best thing about real estate is most of these initial conversations happen over the phone, via text, via email, Zoom meetings. when you want to get a property under contract. So, if it's a single family house, you don't really have to go fly out there and meet and look at it. You can just look at Google Maps. Heck, have the homeowner send you some pictures, right? If you get an apartment complex under contract, well, yeah, you got to you got to fly out there and take a look at it.
Mhm. And it's interesting because like one thing that Javier just did, and this just happened, he was working on a deal in, I think it was Tulsa, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and it was going really well. He had done a capital raise for it. He had a great deck. He had his team together. Everything was moving along really, really well. And then COVID hit, and suddenly the financing no longer worked. He had to pull out of the deal so that it saved his investors time, money, stress. He wanted to do the right thing now. The thing that was interesting is he and his partners actually lost money, but it was better than actually doing the deal. Can you tell us about that, Javier? What that must have been a hard decision to make.
Well, it's always make the decision before you even look at a property, right? So I have my checklist, so it's not emotional when it's time to decide if we're going to buy it or not, right? If we have a checklist of 10 items and it fits every item, great. If it if it needs to fit 7 out of 10 to buy it, then great, right? If it fits 6, then it's no, right? It's super easy. So you don't have to really, break, just sit there in a stressful situation trying to figure out and trying to convince yourself why you should buy it or why you shouldn't buy it. So once it fell off those categories, right? Once a couple of check marks went off, like our financing terms were different, our loan to cost was different, our interest rate went up. They added an extra point to our loan. It fell off, right? Our purchase checklist. So, I mean, it was that easy. So we ended up losing roughly, I don't even, like $60,000, $70,000. But there were some investors that had already wired the money to our account, and we still paid them interest because their money was in our account for like 3-4 weeks. And, even though our agreement said we didn't have to, we still did it anyways.
How cool is that, guys? Do you guys, what do you guys think about that? Like, what did you guys take away? I want to know, for those of you who haven't done anything commercial, what did you just hear him say that you liked, that you were impressed by, or you were confused by? Hello, I do. All right, listen up, y'all. I know every single one of you are here. We're all having a day, but it's going to be a great thing if we can all communicate together. Now, unmute yourselves, ask some questions. We got a great mind here. How many times you to spend an hour with a millionaire telling you how to make money? Now, participate. I'm muting myself. You guys run the show.
Hey, Javier. Well, gotta say, like, I definitely appreciate the fact that, although there's money to be made, you never compromise on like the integrity, that you always do right by the other people. And Jacob says this all the time: real estate is people and business is people. So you always make sure that the people are taken care of, whether that be your investors or like you would put yourself in a position to get hurt before you let other people that trust you get hurt first. So I think that is the reason you're successful more than just knowing the strategy and finding the deal.
Well, that's definitely key. If any of you guys have ever owned a business or been an entrepreneur, had a team and just grinding every day, plenty of times you paid yourself last, you know? So just because you want to make sure the company's going forward and you can pay your people. So, um, we could have just, we could have stopped, we could have probably still bought the property. I mean, we could have, and it would have been an okay project. It would have been okay. We would have been fine, but it wouldn't have been a great deal, right? And we already told ourselves we're only going to buy great deals. So once you have your vision, you have your goals, everything's structured out. It's not very, it's not hard. It sucks. I mean, don't get me wrong. It definitely sucks to lose money, right? It's not a good feeling, but just make a decision and you move on, right? After a while, you forget about it.
So, Javier, I have a quick question because you just said something, and I think I'm starting to experience it in my own, just as I'm on my own journey. I'm still starting out hunting down deal number one. But as I've been reaching out, cold calling, making a ton of calls, finding sellers that are looking to sell, I've been coming into a lot of interesting, strange situations where they want to sell, but they just got themselves in some crazy predicaments. And I finally had a seller call me yesterday where the predicament was a very simple one. Hey, I moved. I'm in another state. The house is up there. It's clean. It has a tenant. I just want to sell. Versus I'm $160,000 in arrears and the HOA is after me and we couldn't figure this out and that. And now I'm starting to realize it's like what you said. It's kind of, I was jumping on everything else because I didn't know. But now I'm starting to see, oh, there are great deals and not just good deals. So almost being patient enough to filter and know which ones to say no to and which ones to say yes to.
Yeah, so eventually, sorry, you have your buy box, right? Whatever falls into that buy box, and your buy strategy. Your buy strategy, you can have 5 strategies: cash, owner finance, partner with somebody else, partner with a homeowner, whatever it is, right? As long as it fits your buy box and your strategy box. There's two boxes.
So Marlon, what in your opinion, what makes a good deal and what makes a great deal?
In my opinion, a good deal is finding somebody that's interested in selling. You're going to make a profit on it. It's going to be a lot of work, but ultimately there's still going to be a profit to be had. And a great deal. I know I'm not very specific here. I'm still learning and building my own criteria, but a great deal is a deal that is still making a profit. It's costing you less money to acquire this deal, and the headache and the work associated with it is slightly less. The problems are simpler to solve. So it's a little bit more of a cut and dry, clean cut and dry process.
Javier, what would you say a good deal versus a great deal is?
A good deal versus a great deal. Wow. I've done some great deals and I've done some pretty shitty deals. So I've done a lot. So actually I just wrote the check for like $46K on Friday for a couple of houses that had just been sitting there. I said, whatever. I need to get rid of them. I sold them to another investor at a discount, so they're going to make money. But that was a bad deal for me. I kept those properties too long, and it was bad purchase, right? So if anybody out there tells you they don't make any bad decisions, they're lying to you. They're straight up lying to you.
So,
a good project. Go ahead. What was the question? What's a good project for me?
How do you determine a good deal from a great deal?
Well, I guess it's going to come down to the velocity of money and what your time is worth, right? If it takes me 30 seconds to connect somebody with somebody else and somebody paid me $5,000, okay, great. It's awesome, right? If it takes me 30 hours to work on a deal and I make, $200,000, well, hey, that's great too. So it just depends on, the time, the value of time, the value you place on your time.
I like that.
So what do you guys think? Pamela, James, what do you guys think makes a good deal versus a great deal? I have my answer, but I want to know what you guys think. Javier is saying something which I really think is valuable. I want to know what you guys are hearing.
Hey, there's no right or wrong answers.
Exactly. So. And then there's silence. There's also that option.
I think it always depends, especially since people buy for different reasons. So depending on your buyers, always know your buyers, their criteria list, and it might vary because some might buy for appreciation or cash flow or just 1031 exchange. They need to move it somewhere. So it always depends.
Yeah. Stephanie, Nelson?
1031.
I wrote it in the chat box, but I think a great deal is when all parties walk away feeling like they've won.
I love that answer.
Hey, Stephanie.
Hi, Javier. How are you doing?
You got a fan. I love that answer, Stephanie. I think that's great. So how I define it, and for me, it changes. A good deal and a great deal change based on where I am at that time, right? So a good deal can be one thing on Monday, and it could be a great deal on Friday, and it could be a horrible deal on Sunday, depending on where I am, where my portfolio is, what I'm trying to achieve. So it's really easy. How I had to start looking at deals for me was, okay, I need a deal that's going to pay my cell phone bill every month. So for me, it may not be like the best deal in the world, but it got me closer to being financially free. Then I would go, okay, now I need something that pays my rent. Now I need something that's going to pay my car. And I just kept working towards getting those things done. So at least I know as that cash comes in, I'm getting out of the rat race and I'm achieving financial freedom. Now, with every deal you do, you're going to get better. So it's a great deal for you today will not be a great deal from you in a year from now. Javier, when he's first started, his deals that he bought were off the MLS. They weren't great deals. That's just what he knew to get started and get going. And then he wised up and started putting his own systems in place. Javier has so many systems, guys. If you were to go and look at his business, it is held together by duct tape and prayer. He's got all of these systems come together. They're just like swirled all around. He's got like garden twine. I don't know how it works, but it all kind of folds together and he gets something done. It ain't pretty, it ain't glamorous, but it's effective.
Hey,
If they pay you that compliment, Javier.
yeah, it's getting prettier now. So I got George, my COO. We brought him on in January, so he's making everything look nice and pretty, making me look better. Then we got a systems manager as well. Just brought that guy up a couple of weeks ago, and his whole job is to do workflows and systems and processes and automation and make everything go smooth.
This has gotten big. So Javier also partnered with Moo, who's his business partner, for what they've been doing with All States Capital Group, and they've been around almost a year now. Like you started talking about almost a year now, right?
Yep.
And you went from no commercial experience, you went from residential to commercial, and now you have how much do you have under management now?
It's 343 apartments. It's about 20 some million bucks.
Mm-hmm.
Stabilized value.
And what the stabilized value is $20 million. Impressive,
Yep.
isn't it?
Plus what?
So one of the things I love is how Javier talked about how he transitions from residential real estate into commercial real estate. Javier, how did that go for you?
Okay, so there's a lot of different ways to do it, right? I was at a mastermind a couple of weeks ago, and everybody was talking about I'm just strange. I'm not ordinary. Honestly, I think ordinary sucks. So hopefully you're not offended by that. I'm just strange. I'm not ordinary. There you go. Yeah, it's being ordinary sucks. But somebody was talking about, what books they're reading, this system they got in place. I'm sitting there like 10 minutes. I'm ready to walk outside, drink some coffee, make a phone call. I can't sit still. The reason I'm sitting by my wall here is because the Wi-Fi is here, and my Wi-Fi sucks today for some reason. Anyways, so somebody was talking about, books they read, and everybody had to say which book they read. And I'm like, I said, well, to be honest with you guys, my goal was to make $1 million and never read a book. Everybody got real quiet. And everybody laughed, and I said, no, I'm serious. I made $1 million, not gross, but you net $1 million, and I had never read a book. Right. So everybody's got quiet. I'm like, yeah. Now I'm not saying that you should not read a book. I would have probably made $100 million if I would have read a book. Right. But I had set that stupid goal in my mind, and that probably slowed me down. Right. So jumping from single family to commercial, I just quit last year. I just quit. I was getting ready to scale to do like 150, 200 flips a year. I was getting everything ready, and I was about to push the button, and I just said, no, I just quit single family cold turkey. The next day, I pretty much let my whole staff go, started selling all my properties, trying to get as much liquid as I could. And, started pretty much from scratch, but, not really, I already made a lot of connections. And that was the way. Now I know other guys have done it different, right? They have a single family business going, and they build some good systems and processes, and they put somebody in their place, and they're still making the money, and then they go off to commercial. But I know I know me, that wasn't going to work. I needed to focus. So
you're very big on knowing yourself. That's one thing I really appreciate about you. You know yourself, and you also take a lot of personality tests and profilings to really stay on top of it. And in fact, that's part of your interview process. How do you find, why is that so valuable to you? How is it playing to your business?
It's good. You got to have people that mix together. So basically, it's actually not that hard. I try to hire folks or work with me. They don't really work for me. We work together, right? We all work together, and it's about hiring people that are smarter than you. My CEO is smarter than me. My systems guy is smarter than me. I hired a sales acquisition guy, like full-time on salary this last week, and super smart guy. He's better at sales than me. Everybody's better than me. Jake is a better dancer than me, so I'm okay. So it's you got to be comfortable with you got to be comfortable not being the smartest person in the room, right? Mm-hmm. So that way you can grow. You got to get stretched. If you're hanging around people, you're not getting stretched, unless it's for a reason, right? You're not going to grow. You're hanging on the wrong places. So make sure people don't lie, cheat, or steal, and don't be an asshole. That's basically my 4 rules.
Good rules. I like those. So when you are, walk us through what it's like to acquire commercial property. How do you do it? What do you look for? How do you close the transaction?
All right. So first of all, we got to find a good project. We got to be all in for 65% of the stabilized value. So if it's worth 10 million bucks, we got to be all in, purchase price, rehab, carry cost for no more than 6.5 million. And you buy the property, you kick all the old tenants out, unless you're in California, can't kick anybody out. And then after that, you rehab the property, you stabilize it, you raise the rents, and then you cash out refi, right? You basically refinance the property. If it's worth 10 million bucks, the bank will give you 7 to 7.5. You get back all the money you put in it. You pay back your first loan, you pay back your first investors, and you have a free apartment building. So,
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and the return on that is an infinite return because you got your money back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did with single family. So I said, well, why not do it with multifamily or mobile home park or self-storage unit?
What's really cool is Javier finds all sorts of projects and things around the country. So I'm on his list as well because I help in various ways that I can. And I have people looking to buy, and their criteria is different than Javier's. So when he finds something that's either too small for him or doesn't have the right return, he can call me, and they meet the returns and the requirements for my people. So just because he finds a deal and it doesn't work for him doesn't mean it's a bad deal. It just means it's not the right deal for him. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we got certain goals, so we got to buy stuff that is a couple million bucks minimum.
There's something about, and this is what you guys are learning with quarantine, is intentional. Being intentionally focused on what you're trying to do, because if you know where you want to go, you'll be able to achieve it. So that's why I said, okay, these are your goals you're meeting for the challenge. For those of you who are in Real Estate Survivor, you got to meet these goals. It makes it easier because you're not distracted by everything else. But we also know the end game is to make the profit so you can get into multifamily deals and create that legacy and create that passive income, that wealth that raises your net worth. So it's an idea that gets you where you want to go. And along the way, you make amazing connections. Do you guys all realize that each and every one of you have access to Javier?
If you guys find a project somewhere, oh yeah, you guys get paid. You get part ownership of it. Yeah, so don't be scared. It was like when I found my first one, I was like that dog that chases a tire, right? And then I caught the tire, and I'm like, what the heck do I do now, right? And the wheel kept turning, kept slamming me on the ground, right? Just over and over and over. So I'm not calling you guys a dog, but if you catch a tire, don't let it slam you on the ground. Call me. Yeah, I can help you.
Mm-hmm. And that's the same thing. You guys are guys, it's the same learning curve for residential versus commercial. It's the same thing. It's a learning curve no matter what it is. It's just what language are you going to speak. So that's why we're working into this. You guys can see where it's going, and we're using a lot of the systems that Javier uses. So it's going to be more familiar. So Javier is in the Raleigh, North Carolina market. And we are going to be working with him in our secondary challenge, which we have. What's the market like in Raleigh? And what are you getting multifamily properties there?
For as far as the purchase prices that I'm looking for in the projects, it's wherever the project, right? It can be Oklahoma, it can be Texas, it can be North Carolina, South Carolina. So as far as multifamily, it's everywhere, right? It's not necessarily going to be in my backyard because it can take me 3 years to find a deal in my backyard that it fits my model, right? So, but as far as single family goes, oh yeah, there's a lot of deals. It's a great market.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got 12,000 people on my buyers list here.
And how many properties do you still control? Because you've been liquidating.
I own 4. That's it.
Mm-hmm. And that's a lot less than you did.
Yeah, one closes next month. One goes, and I got 2 for sale this week, and then I have one big one that I gotta do. So.
And then you're all in commercial.
Then I'm done.
I think it's really interesting how you said that you have business partners, and I know some of them who have their residential side. It's up and running. They put all that time, money, and effort into it, and they're letting that run, and they're just letting that be an additional stream of income.
Yep.
I think it's interesting how you know yourself, and you're like, no, that's not. You'll be dividing your energies too much, and you just went, never mind. You went over here. Did you feel like that was a loss, or that was the right time, or why did you make that drastic move?
I mean, it's like having a job, right? I had a job, so I just quit my job, so I didn't make any more money. Maybe I got a severance pay, you can say, of sorts, right? but
Uh-huh.
there's no like active income coming in really.
Hmm.
So it's tough, right? Especially if you're married, you got kids. So I'm married, I got kids. So as long as you talk to your partner, your spouse, significant other, whoever, right?
Hmm.
Talk to your pet.
Cashy, you got to make sure Cashy.
As long as everybody's on board, then you're good. But I mean, it's not easy, right? It's like you burn the ships, you take the city, right? Like Alexander the Great, you
Mhm.
can't go back, right? And I see these deals. I got wholesalers bring me deals all the time because I used to buy. I'm like, man, that's a great deal. It's like a 5-week flip, 30 grand, right? I'm like, shoot. And I think about it for a second. I'm like,
You're like, man, it's
nah,
just not.
I'm going to pass, right? It's a great project. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with single family. I mean, shoot, um, make some good connections. You can make a lot of money. You can make a
Mhm.
lot of money.
How fast were through single family? How fast were you able to become financially free from what you were doing?
I would say it took me about 3 years, 3.5 years.
Okay. Was that at the peak of what you were doing? Because you were doing 88 wholesales and
Yeah, at the
50
peak, but
splits.
at the end of the day, right, it was still a job,
Hmm.
right? I had some properties bringing some money in, but um, it was still a job, right?
Hmm.
So, for me, I got my goals, right? 50K a month cash flow net. That's when I feel like I'm free, right?
Okay.
So, so I never felt like I was actually free doing single family.
It's not a bad deal. We can get
So,
there. So
yeah.
how far are you from that goal right now? Can we help you?
Sure, yeah. I need about 75% more. So do the math.
Make it work. That's all right.
Uh,
Still not a bad place to be for some of us. How many of you guys would be
yeah,
happy with making 75% of what less than he's saying? Like
yeah.
per month. That'd be fine by me,
So
right?
when people talk, guys, don't be ashamed. I used to be ashamed a little bit to talk about money, just because I was wanting to do stuff on my own. Never liked to ask people for money. Never talked about money. Never asked somebody how much money something cost. That's just the way my parents taught me. You got to talk about money, guys, and you got to hang out with winners. So when you're expressing, or you're talking about your wins, it doesn't sound like you're bragging, right?
Mhm.
I'm sitting at a mastermind a couple of weeks ago, and I'm like, man, I raised 2.3 million bucks for this last closing we got. And the guy's like, yeah, how long did it take you? I'm like, man, about 3.5 weeks. Like, shoot, I just raised 6.5 this weekend for this project. I'm like, oh, well, good for you, right? I mean, it's not like, it's just having a conversation. I'm like, heck yeah, that's what I have to aspire to, right? Raising 6 million bucks, 6.5 in a weekend, when it took me 3.5 weeks, right? And you got to hang out with people that's going to encourage you and motivate you, and not sit there and say, oh, you're making X amount of dollars, right? And then people get stuck on the money. People say, I'm making this much money. Well, is that gross or is that net? Right? It's just, if you pay attention to what I said net. I said net income. I didn't say gross income. What I mean by net income, after all my expenses are paid, right? Then that's your net income. So,
Mhm.
and whatever your expenses are every month, 5 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand, whatever it is that makes your life go round.
How do you always seem to have like a positive disposition every time I talk to you with things, even when things are hard and you've got a lot going on. And we're in the middle of a pandemic. You
Yeah.
have kids who can't get out of your house. So I'm sure driving you crazy. You're running this business, which is growing faster because I see deals all the time coming from you. Your wife is amazing, but she's running the residential side of your business still for the moment from home with all this going on. What do you do to stay in the right mindset every day?
I have a lot of wine. No, it's tough, guys. I'm working from the house, right? So I get up every day at 5:30, and my kids come up from upstairs, and they see me on the computer, right, all day until 5 or 6. So for them, they see like I'm working all day on my computer. So the computer is a bad thing because that's all they see. So it is a challenge. So you got to get out of the house. Even go outside, go to a friend's house, whatever you got to do. I got to get out of the house. Try not to do it at home, but I got a very supportive family, very supportive. My wife's supportive. Everybody's in the right, on the same page. And I talk to my kids about what I do, right? I talk to them about what the goals are, and I take them with me, and I'm like, hey, this is going to be yours. Oh, Jessica just joined. Hey, this is going to be yours someday, right? So I got 5 kids, and I tell them all, hey guys, I do have a favorite. I tell them all the time. There's this bull crap. If your parents tell you there's no favorite, okay? If you guys are in the middle of the ocean with one life vest and you guys are 50 yards apart, you'll know who their favorite is because they're going to go throw it to that one favorite. So my daughter asked me, so am I your favorite? I only have one girl. And I said, hey, you guys will never know. It changes all the time. So the favorite changes. I take them out. I tell them, hey, this is going to be yours someday. Maybe, maybe not. Don't marry some psycho person because then it's not going to be yours. So just have a conversation with the kids, right? Don't take everything too serious as far as just don't be too uptight. Stuff happens. You're going to make mistakes. And the sooner you accept the fact that you're not perfect, your spouse is not perfect, your kids are not perfect, and you're allowed to make mistakes, you're going to be happier.
We are all perfectly imperfect, especially me. So one thing that I love that Javier, for those of you who don't know, he's had multiple businesses, throughout his career. He's never really been a very good employee. In case you can't tell that from him, he has too many ideas and too much of a mouth. He had to find his own way. So that's why he's an entrepreneur, right? So he has several, he's not only an entrepreneur, but he taught his kids. And I got one of my ideas from him when I was visiting them over the holidays. Their daughter, DNA, is amazing. And they used to go and buy like patio furniture that was beat up and disgusting, or this table, and they would refurbish it and sell it. And they started flipping furniture, and that's how DNA started making money. And it was kind of cool to see how Javier's and Brenda's teachings have transposed onto their kids, and their kids think like that now, not because they were being trained or they read a book, but because they see it. How is that?
Right.
Am I right in that?
So let me tell you a quick story about that. So I told my daughter, she's going to be 16, but she was probably 12 or 13. Man, she was negotiating with grown men, on the prices and stuff. So it was pretty cool. But then she find this table for $60, and she's like, Dad, go pick it up. It's like an hour away. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go drive out here for an hour to pick up this table for $60. She's gonna make $20 on it. I'm gonna spend 3 hours of my life. Like, this is not worth my, But anyway, that's not the point. The point was, I gave her the idea and I told her I'd help her, so I had no choice, right? So, income producing activities, that's definitely not income producing, but it's life producing activities, right? So
there's more value than just money.
Then she got smarter, and if I was busy, she paid her older brothers, hey, go get this for me. When I sell it, I'll give you $20. So her older brothers were working for her. So with that said, I got older kids, I got younger kids. If I was to get hit by a bus, I'd probably leave everything to my daughter. She's 16, and along with her 9-year-old brother.
They're the smartest ones that I've seen so far. Yeah, your gene pool got better as you kept getting older.
Oh, my 9-year-old, we got him taking trash cans out for the neighbors, for like $1. So even when it's cold, right? My wife's like, "Oh, it's so cold outside today." I'm like, "So, he'll be all right. Just put on the double jacket, Let him go put the trash can for the trash to pick up, and then put it back for $1. I think he's got like 48 people right now. Something like that.
Well, that works. Did you guys move yet?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get you.
I didn't buy my wife her house. I bought her a dog, so that's a good one for me.
Makes more sense.
It was a good trade.
It really is. I can see that. So, guys, I know that you have lots of questions. So, what do you guys want to know? Do you have any questions for Javier about his systems when he's doing single family, what he's doing in commercial, about the Raleigh market, how he networks? What questions do you guys have for him? Go ahead.
Javier, I got a question. What is your buying criteria? Like, if we were to bring a deal to you, what are you looking for? What are you not looking for?
So it has to be 60 units or above. I'll talk about apartment, a 60 unit or above, just because usually on those you can put a management, a leasing agent and maintenance person. So 60 units and above. It really has to be a value add, basically, where deferred maintenance, the rents are under market. It has to be a property that needs some work. Nothing turnkey. There's a lot of folks that buy apartment buildings and they buy them like, turnkey. And yeah, you can make money that way, but if something happens, something turns, and you're screwed, right? I mean, I don't want to speculate when I buy. I want to buy now to make cash flow like in a year, right? Force the appreciation, not have some 30-page pro forma showing how you're going to make 13%, IRR on your money in 7 years. Like that's too risky for me. So it's pretty simple. I'll give you a really quick math. If you find a building and you're all in for per unit for 100K, say, you know, always do $10,000 remodel per unit. Just if it needs work, just make a number easy. If you're all in to buy the unit and the rehab at 100,000 per unit, and the rents are around 1,500 stabilized, then I'll take a look at it.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of taking 6 hours to analyze an apartment building, you can do it in 3 minutes.
Mm-hmm. That's how he does so much volume with them as well.
Yeah.
And he also has partners. What's interesting is, like, as you guys are learning by making phone calls, you're finding other investors who are in single family. Maybe they want to get to a quadplex, things like that. You're making those connections. Javier's doing the same thing with commercial. He's buying apartment complexes all around the country, as well as people who are buying all internationally as well. So the process of syndication is very important. And I want to talk about syndication actually for a minute while we have it. Javier, will you please define what is syndication?
All right. Let me Google it real quick.
Ah.
Hey, James, one last question. Probably stuff that's not on the market, number one. If I can find it for sale online, I'm probably not interested. 99.99% sure.
I see you, Stephanie. So, Cindy, are you Googling it really? I'm going to smack you. So syndication is where a bunch of people that have capital will come together, they'll pull their money together so they can actually get into larger investments like apartment complexes, commercial property,
You know,
malls.
it's not going to be a good deal. A couple of years back when I was invited to it. Oh, hold on.
There you are. We're getting all of that at once. Okay.
Oh, sorry. There we go.
All right, that's
My
fine.
Wi-Fi is terrible. Hey, my first symposium I went to a couple of years ago and I got invited to, you come into a symposium, had to go Google what the hell was a symposium. Right? It was just a meeting. Why not call it a conference? Call it a meeting. Why you call it symposium? Jeez. Syndication. Basically, syndication means you get a group of investors together and they put money and you buy a property. You got a couple of people that sign for the loan. Some people do the management, the legwork, and then some people bring the money. That's basically it. It's like a big partnership.
Mm-hmm. Just to get things done. It makes a lot of sense. So if a bank lends 65% of what he's looking for, he's got to raise the other 35%.
Yep.
So that's what he's trying to find through a syndication, a capital raise. And the funny thing is, the more you do it, the more money you find. It's interesting once you start learning how to respect money, money is out there. It's just putting it together the right deal to put in the right place to grow. So money is a seed. It's got to be in fertile soil in order to grow and blossom and bloom. You got to make sure you're putting it in the right soil at the right time. So that's something I found interesting. So when you go and you do your syndications, Javier, I know you have to have a previously established business relationship. The individuals had to be considered a high net worth individual, and that there are a couple different qualifications for that as well. But there are also ways to get into them without being a high net worth individual if you're willing to sign an affidavit. So how do you go about raising your capital for people that you barely know?
So you got to be either an accredited investor or a sophisticated investor, right? What's 2 plus 2, right? You know, as long as you get anywhere under 10, that's a good number, right? You're sophisticated enough. But it really, as far as raising money, you can't raise money for people you don't know unless you have a fund, right? You have a registered fund and you can. But if you have a pre-existing relationship, it could be like right now, this one phone call, now we have a relationship. Mm-hmm. It can be a couple of text messages, right? It can be, you know, it's really there's no really definition for that. But I get asked all the time, you know, hey, how do I raise money? Everywhere, like we go to a meeting and when I write down 3 things somebody needs help with, raising money. It's always up there. Like, what the hell? Why is that thing always up there? And my next question is, I say, who has trouble raising money? Can anybody here? Is there a way to, can you raise your hand in the chat or somewhere or no?
Yep. Yes, they can.
I don't know. Let me know how many people raise their hand. They need help raising money.
Wait, the question is, do you need help raising money?
Yeah. If that's one of your issues, well, not issues, but you would like some help raising money.
I always want to learn how to, raise more, right?
Okay. Yeah. Right. So I'll make it super easy. All right. I'm gonna say, so the first question I ask is, how many people have you asked for money in the last 7 days? Right. And I usually get like none. Right. Okay. Well, that's number one. You got to ask everybody for money. Right. You got to ask everybody for money. You got to be fake. You got to feel uncomfortable. Like, I hate asking for a discount. That's my personality. I just hate it. right? Like if I get food that's cold, I'll probably still eat it, right? So that's just me. Now my wife, that's why she does all the negotiations. She'll be like, hell no, this is cold. You know, give me a new one, right? And I want it for free. So you got to get used to like, just go to Starbucks. And I had to do this over and over again. And I would ask the manager, hey, got any specials? You got any discounts? You know, I would smile. It would kill me inside. And sure enough, like, hey, I don't have any discounts, but I can give you a coffee. I'm like, okay, great. I'll take it. It's not like I needed a coffee, but it just, you get out of your comfort zone, right? Anyways, so asking for money was super, super challenging for me. But once you find out somebody's got money or they might have money, I'll go like Nelson. I'll look at Nelson. I know Nelson, you know, he's got a business and he's making all kinds of cash. And, you know, I know him, right? And I'll be like, hey, Nelson, look, man, we're hanging out somewhere at a party. So I'm going to give you 2 tips. Somebody that I know that has money and somebody that I don't even know they got money. Number one, I'm going to go with number one, somebody that I don't know if they have money, right? So Jessica's here and I'll say, hey, I don't know if she has money, but I'll be like, hey, Jessica, yeah, I'm working on a real estate transaction. You know, let me know if you know anybody who's looking to make good returns, you know, on their money. That's basically it. And she might be like, okay, what do you have? Or maybe I do, maybe I don't. But Jessica and I know each other, right? So I'm kind of asking her indirectly. But my favorite one that works the best is if you know somebody who already has money, right? So you got to hang out where people have money. So whatever that is, you got to go find it in your area. I know Nelson has money. I said, and we're to get together. I tell Nelson, hey man, I need to talk to you. I need a huge favor. Don't leave. I'll find you. Okay. And now I'll let him go. So that stays in his mind. 30 minutes later, I come up to him like, hey, you got a couple of seconds? I need some help. He'll say, sure. And I say, hey, Nelson, look, man, I know you're well-liked. You're respected. You know, people trust you. You know, I am working on a real estate. You know, I do real estate. He should know already you do real estate. Everybody should know. You know, I'm doing real estate. I got a project coming up. And if anybody out there is complaining about bad returns on their money, please connect them with me, right? You know, let them know that I got a project. And that's it. That's all I say. 99% of the time, he's going to ask me. Most of the time, they're going to tell me, hey, what kind of project is it? Like, tell me about it, because they're going to ask me questions about it, you know, and then you sit down and you say, let's talk about it later, and you meet another time and you break it down. Now, if he's got money to invest, he's going to invest money because he's going to be like, oh shoot, this is a good project. I'm going to get how much return? Yes. He might say, hey, let me try it first, and then I'll get my buddies, right? And after so many of those conversations, you start raising a lot of money. Super easy. And I know Stephanie's got no issue raising money or asking people.
Mhm.
Come on, you're from
guys
she's from New York.
Yeah. She's got some brass on her, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So are you guys embarrassed to ask about money? Be honest.
For me, I'm embarrassed for people that have money that I know have substantial amounts of money. I'm embarrassed to ask because I know a lot of them think very much in a higher level, and I'm trying to match that, right? But it's still something that it's part of my getting more comfortable in asking. Like, I have a family connection that is worth, you know, quite a hefty penny, and it's very uncomfortable to ask him for money but I know I can. It's just,
Stephanie, why don't you use my example, right? If it was Nelson,
I know
it'd be like, hey Nelson, I know you're well connected, you're well liked, people like you, people trust you, people want to do business with you. And look, I got this great project. If you know anybody out there who's complaining about bad returns, you know, let me know, connect me with them. You know, that's it. And he might say, well, tell me about it.
100%. I just know him enough that if I already present him with options, then I'm much more,
Yeah.
he has more value. He already quickly will know who to direct me to, or if it fits his own portfolio. But if I'm just asking blatantly for money, he's going to be like, well, when you have something, let me know.
All right,
and like, but he wants to know details. So it's kind of like, that's from, like, I can tell you, I've been embarrassed to ask him because I know that's how he thinks.
All right, Stephanie. Next. I don't have any money that I need raised at the moment, but next time I get a contract, I'm gonna connect with you. You can raise some money. We'll raise some money together, and you'll have a project to show him. And you have
Does that make me part of the
yeah. You become part of the deal, right? You become a general partner in the deal because you're raising money. Yeah. Heck yeah.
That's actually what you guys are working towards with Real Estate Survivor. That's why you guys are getting used to doing things on Sunday. That's why you're getting recipes to throw your own parties, and you're going to be able to build credibility by doing part of a presentation. You're going to have someone that's actually got a deal presenting it as well in front of your family and friends. Ooh.
Guys, I got like a whole bunch of projects in the pipeline, like a whole bunch of mobile home parks. Right now I have like 5. They're pretty
Yay.
good. They're pretty good projects. They're all like 30% cash on cash return. I mean, they're insane cash on cash returns, right? I'm not going to do them because they're too small. Don't fit my box, but they're great returns. Anybody out there who's looking for some projects, who's got some investors, Stephanie, if you want to take some of these mobile home parks and be like partner up with them and you guys figure out whatever you guys want, they're going to be coming out.
I'm up for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yep. So make sure you're on my buyers list. I don't spam anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Just get on my list. Every time I got a project, I send it out.
How do I give you my email to be on your buyers list?
Jacob, how do I put it on here?
You put it in the chat box.
Okay, I'll throw it in here in the chat box.
Yeah, there you go.
I made a cool little YouTube video too, which is pretty neat.
Oh, Lord.
You won't find a YouTube video buyers list like mine.
So, but you see how he keeps everything in a system, like people either buyers, sellers, or their money, like you guys are seeing. And he takes that and he actually puts it into spreadsheets. He uses like what he's putting there. He actually has that's Marlon. He actually
yeah,
has,
there it is.
like,
Yeah, that's I saw the link earlier on your Facebook.
Yeah,
Mhm.
either that one or this one. I think. Hold on, let me make sure that's the right one.
so he has landing pages where people fill out their information so he can make sure they're well informed. But he's also now scaled to where, notice he says that he hired a CEO in January. He now has a systems manager they just hired last week. He has his business partner. He knows what he's good at. So it's not just him. Are you guys starting to see that? Like, you can't just do this on your own. You have to know enough till you don't know everything. And that's it. You gotta know just enough. And then once you get it going, you put someone else in their place to make sure it works. Like you want to replace yourself. That's your job. You want to be able to replace yourself.
I want to
so Javier built the system so he could replace himself, and he brought in Debbie and he brought in his wife and he replaced himself.
I got one more spot. I'm doing the construction management because I have the most experience. I have a GC license in 16 states. I hate saying that because I get stuck with the construction side, you know? So on the construction side, I work for the COO, which is George, and I'm always hitting on him, you know? I'm straight. I think I'm straight. Am I straight, Jacob?
You're not sleeping with me anymore.
Yeah,
so.
I slept with you for a year, man. I think I'm straight.
No.
We're bunk buddy, but I tell George all the time, hey man, those jeans look tight on you. I'm like sexually harassing him all the time. Just because I want him to fire me. I say, hey man, you need to fire me, and because I don't want to do this no more. So 2 more projects, and we're gonna get a construction guy full time.
So what do you so now that you've hit on everybody, which is my MO usually, so I'm glad I took a day off for it, which is great. So what are you? What was that?
I feel left out. I'm not being hit on. Thanks, Javier. Jeez.
Hey,
So do you want to tell Javier about what you're doing right now, Jessica?
Well, I'm rehabbing a house, as you can kind of see. So it's an eight room house, 8 rooms, 5 bathrooms, and it's going to be trying to turn it into an assisted living facility. So I kind of just got approval from the county that I was allowed to do it, along with the state. So now I have to fill out about 1,000 forms to do it. But yeah, so I'm hoping to open an assisted living facility with this within the next, I don't know, probably 9 months is kind of what I'm.
Where?
In Colorado Springs.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be in Denver in like 2.5 weeks.
Oh really? Oh yep. Cool. For what?
I'm taking a mobile home class because I don't know much about mobile homes, and I got like 5 under contract, and I bought 2 last month.
Well, I would definitely love to be able to link up and chit chat.
Is it Duggar's class?
No, I don't know. I'm just kidding. I know enough to be dangerous in mobile home parks. I got a friend that invited me to a class out there. I'm like, yeah, I'll go. What the heck? Why not?
Why not?
Never been to. Well, I've been to Denver, but it's been like 20 years.
Well, you know, when you're there, you should save a horse and ride a cowboy.
Okay. All right, Jacob.
I'm just making sure you know that. That's
All
all.
right.
So,
Congrats,
but
Jessica. Congrats on that.
Hey, thank you very much.
look at that bathroom. Yeah, it's always funny when people show pictures of toilets. I'm like, I don't need
Yeah.
to see that part. Can you cut the lid? Like, thank you.
Yeah.
That's
Anybody
lovely.
have any questions or
Oh dear
what's
Jesus,
next, Jacob?
Jessica. Okay, we're gonna stop her video. Bye. But yeah, so yeah, that's coming along very well. So guys, there are so many limits. Sorry, let me rephrase that. There are so many ways you guys can make money. There's no real limit to what you can do in real estate. What you want to know, what you want to remember is that right now it might feel really hard getting started. Building that momentum is the hardest thing to do. But once you get that going, you just got to keep fueling it and it will take off. Just remember, you're not doing this to stay in single family. And why? Well, like Javier was saying, if you hold single family long enough, they lose their value. Okay, eventually the roof's got to be replaced, the air conditioner, the water heater, all that's got to be switched out so it's going to get your profit margin. We want to get into single family long enough to get you out of the rat race and then sell them to get into larger complexes. Remember Monopoly, 4 greenhouses, 1 red hotel, 4 greenhouses, 1 red hotel. Yeah, so you want to keep upping your portfolio. And as soon as you guys get that part moving, you're going to feel totally different. I'm still working in some of those veins, but I'm feeling that energy coming, which is why I'm able to do some stuff, which is very, very cool. So we're going to keep you posted on that. Does anybody have any other questions they want to ask Javier before we kick him off?
Hey, Javier, I got a question here.
Hey, James.
So I lived in Dubai for about a year and went to like top university in the Gulf, and a lot of my friends there came from really wealthy families. I've stayed connected with a number of them and been talking to some of them recently, and they're interested in like having their parents invest capital. A couple of them, they have quite a bit of capital. I mean, we're talking like students that their family owns an island off the coast of Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
So we've been having this conversation lately with a couple of them, and they're, pitching it to some of their relatives. And I guess I don't know if you know anything about accepting funds from internationally or
It's tough. So,
navigate that.
so it depends, right? Like Russian money right now is tough. Don't want to really mess with Russian money. Money from the Middle East is a little tough. It comes from like Saudi Arabia, things like that. But from Dubai, it shouldn't be that much of a challenge. I got some really good connections that can help with that. They just got to really vet where the money's coming from. That's about it.
There's something called an EB-5 visa, and they're changing the qualifications on it now. How much are they looking to invest into the States? There's a minimum.
Well, the EB-5 is a little bit different. That's like a long-term for, to get your, green card. But I'm sure with the amount of money these guys have, they can travel to the U.S. anytime they want.
Mm-hmm.
They're in and out of the U.S. So, but James, we can talk, man. I'm gonna put am I friends with you guys on Facebook? If I'm not, find me.
Yeah.
What's my handle? Sexy Mexican, open 24/7.
All I gotta do is go to my
Something like
post,
that.
click on your name. That's it.
Just find me, James, and I'll have a chat with you about that.
Those are the fun questions. Stephanie?
Have you ever been the lender in a situation?
Have I? Yeah, I have. I have, and it was, it was okay, but I'm still an active investor. So if I lend, if you lend, right, and you're an active investor, even if you get 10% of your money, it's still no money, because actively you can make 50% or 100% on it. But if you're a passive investor all the time and you make 10% of your money, that's pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm. Good question. Anybody else? No. All right. Well, guys, Javier is definitely here. We're going to be doing more and more with him. So he's going to be doing another capital raise coming here soon. He's going to be doing a webinar. I want you guys to be on it so you can see how one is actually structured, how he goes and presents the deal, how he leaves it open for questions, and what people do. His attorneys do most of the work at that point, which is very, very cool, but they do answer the questions for you. So I want you guys to start seeing that, to start stretching your mind a little bit more, and that's going to help you keep what we're doing in perspective.
Oh, I do have a webinar coming up next week. So for an apartment complex we have in North Carolina, So I'm having one. It breaks down kind of how we got it, how we structure it, what the returns are. We've already got it pre-filled already, but it's still first come, first serve as far as like our investors. So I'm still going to do the webinar. I mean, the money's already raised technically, but not until it's in the account. So that's why, and I'll still have a webinar just to, get, people out there get to know me better and they see our projects. They might not invest in the first one, but maybe in the fifth one. So just come on, hang out, be a fly on the wall. It's pretty cool. I'll give you some good information. I don't review the presentations or nothing. I just, nice. George puts them together and I just go down the list. I just wing it. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll help you with that. I've offered more than once.
I know you have.
But yeah, you guys, thank you for being on the call today. Javier, I'm so glad to see you again, my friend. I miss you. You're always a delight to have on. That was a fast hour, wasn't it, guys? So
Bye, guys.
we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up here, guys. Don't forget, on Wednesday, we are going to have another investor party. We are going to have Don Pendleton of Protect Wealth. He's going to be coming on talking about how to structure some asset protection, which is very important. That's actually the stuff I really want you guys to know, because you're trying to build credibility. Speaking about how to protect certain things is what gets attention to people who have assets, who don't know what to do, right? So that automatically builds your credibility. So Wednesday, 3 o'clock with Don Pendleton. And Tim Sperry's coming back on Friday with Smog Armor. So he's gonna be talking about what they're doing with Smog Armor and how they're working their branding. They are building like crazy. Their new project with Hope Murals and what they're doing internationally now has been crazy. So since we last spoke, a lot has happened. So I'm having it back on to talk about their growth to inspire you. That's gonna be at 3 o'clock on Friday. And don't forget Real Estate Survivor, we have our call Tuesday and Thursday. Hopefully you're working on your projects. I'm so proud of all of you. And for those of you who are interested in actually joining into our next season, season 2 of Real Estate Survivor, we are going to be having a new landing page to sign up coming up in about 2 weeks. So guys, you're all wonderful. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you soon. Mwah! Enjoy the party.